The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everybody, it's me, Corey.
And Zach.
We wanted to tell you all about our exclusive Patreon tier called A Tour de Force, where each season we go through a different auteur's complete filmography in order from beginning to end.
If you sign up now for just $5 a month, you unlock our complete back catalog for John Carpenter, Don Coscarelli, and William Lustig. That's over 50 episodes.
And we are currently going through Larry Cohen's filmography, so you'll get all those episodes as well.
Thank you to everyone that supports Podcasting After Dark on Patreon.
You keep the show going. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Dogma, starring Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Linda Fiorentino.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Podcasting After Dark. I am Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me on these Kevin Smith films is Luna. I don't have a nickname for you yet, Luna.
We need to come up with something.
I know. You need something, right?
Yes, I do. We'll find. I've always wanted a nickname, but I just felt like I never stuck. I feel like sometimes it comes naturally to people, but.
Well, you can't give yourself a nickname. Someone has to give it to you, and
it's like being knighted. You have to be.
Exactly. But the fun thing is, Luna, you have graduated up from bonus episodes, which we've done all those Kevin Smith films in the past, to a regular rotation, a regular player on the Podcasting After Dark scene.
I'm ready for prime time. Let's dig into it.
Damn right you are. All right, so guys and gals, we are covering Kevin Smith's Dogma from 1999. And if you've been listening to our past Kevin Smith films, Luna and I have been basically going through his filmography in order, and we've been having a blast with it. But I gotta say, Dogma was kind of the inception of all of this, because Luna and I have kind of like similar ex-religious backgrounds and everything. And one day I think I was talking to you about like Dogma and whatnot, and I didn't want to start off with Dogma. I wanted to get here, through his other films. But Dogma was the reason we kind of went down this path. And now we're here.
And this is one I've been waiting for this moment. I've been waiting to watch Dogma for many, many months, ever since we had this conversation. I believe it was last summer when we were visiting you guys. Maybe it wasn't even last summer. I think it was a year ago, because
Probably.
We were visiting you during your anniversary in Eugene.
Yeah.
So I think that's when we first started on this conversation of me maybe joining you for some podcasts. So this has really been about a year since we've been recording together. So there's a birthday to celebrate here as well today.
Yes, exactly. And so, of course, we didn't go month to month like we were hoping to do, but, life and schedules and everything. But we got here, and Luna has now seen Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and now Dogma, and we'll get to your reaction after we get through the cast and crew and everything, and also your husband's reaction, because he watched it with you as well.
Yeah, I drug him into it this time.
Good. I can't wait to hear what Adrian thought of it. I'll just say, I saw this in the theater, 1999. I was 21. I definitely saw this in the theater. I was a big Kevin Smith fan. When I was in college at Towson University up by Baltimore, Kevin Smith did this like speaking tour where it was almost like a one-man comedy show / telling stories about his movies and everything. And I believe it was before Dogma. So I believe it was like a couple years prior or something like that, around the same time. But Kevin Smith, I was always a big fan. So, of course, when Dogma came out, I think I saw it opening weekend with my friends. Loved it and everything. And, I had the DVD back in the day. Of course, the Harvey Weinstein debacle and everything kind of kept Dogma from hitting Blu-ray and things like that. But finally, you know, for the 25th anniversary or whatever, the 4K came out, and I picked that up. I freaking loved it, and we'll get into our thoughts and everything. But that's kind of my history with Dogma. But Luna, I do want to ask you, growing up or anything, had you ever heard of this film before you and I sort of talked about
Well,
it?
when this film came out, I was 7 years old. And
Okay.
as you mentioned, I grew up in a religious household, so this would have been sacrilege to my parents. And I'll give them some credit. They've definitely softened up over the past 3 decades. But yeah, this was not in, my purview, even as a teenager. I never really heard about this until we talked. I'd heard about it as a young adult, but I never heard enough about it to pique an interest. And I'm really glad that you recommended this because this was kind of the religious redemption that I needed from all of the trauma that I endured growing up in the church. So,
We'll get into all of that, I'm sure. But of course, I do remember the like the controversy around this film from the Catholic Church, or like more like, protesters and stuff like that, religious zealots, you kind of probably know which side of the political spectrum these people come from and everything. And just while I'm thinking about it now, one of the things that jumped out at me, I don't want to dive too much into my thoughts, but was how religiously positive this film actually is. And maybe not like organized religion, but like just positive the movie is in general. And I think that's kind of funny that they were so adamantly against it. But before we get into all those thoughts, we have a really stacked cast and crew to sort of talk about here. Luna, obviously Kevin Smith wrote and directed this. We've been doing, this thing now for 4 episodes, spanning the course of like 9 months or so. And later on, we will rank them, or so far what we've seen, rank Kevin Smith movies. But Luna, I do want to shout out really quick to you. Did you notice who the composer was?
No,
It was Howard Shore. Does that name mean anything to you?
not at all.
He's the composer for all of the Lord of the Rings films.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
You love those
Well,
movies,
I love
right?
the Lord of the Rings. I
Yes.
mean, it's just I don't think I mentioned this to your fans, but whenever I am needing some courage, I watch the Ride of the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings, and you have that score with the string instruments in the background and the horses galloping across the Pelennor fields. So that I can totally get behind a composer who did Lord of the Rings and did Dogma. No wonder I like the movie.
He's done a bunch of awesome stuff. Started out early on with a lot of Cronenberg stuff, like The Brood, Scanners, Videodrome. But he's also done movies like Big, After Hours, Silence of the Lambs, Naked Lunch, Single White Female. He's like Philadelphia. It's insane the movies that he's done. Seven. He's a massive composer, maybe not a name like John Williams that jumps out at you, but if you look through his filmography, I guarantee you've seen a shit ton of his movies.
Well, I also love Silence of the Lambs, so I mean, I think this guy's really got a repertoire on him right here.
Hell yeah, he does. Yeah, and the movie, the score of this film is damn good too.
Did you have a specific scene that like speaks out to you for the music behind it?
Not necessarily, and the listeners will know I'm not as musically inclined as I am visually inclined. Zach is much more of the music guy, so nothing really jumped out at me. Like I was like, oh, I really like that cue or whatnot. But I do recall enjoying the music and not having it like it felt like it fit. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like this was like out of place or anything. Back at you, was there anything that jumped out at you?
I think, like you said, nothing felt out of place, but it also didn't overwhelm the movie at all because it's by no means a serious movie. I mean, it definitely has a lot of laughs and a lot of quirkiness to it, like a lot of the other Kevin Smith movies, probably in a little bit of a different way. But I think it just fit. It fit to a point where maybe it helps everything meld together, but it doesn't distract you in a way that maybe something more punchy would.
But you also don't see yourself buying the CD for this and playing
I
it
don't
like
think
you
so.
would. Yeah, you would Lord of the Rings. Because I do remember like some of the Lord of the Rings cues and scores and stuff like that. But that's a bigger movie, and I think it's also the job of the composer to like not go bigger than the movie is supposed to be, but also not go smaller. Like understand what the tone and the scale of the movie is supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Lord of the Rings, you have those epic scenes where maybe people aren't speaking, but you're just watching something happen and you want the music to kind of take over and become emotional. And this, I don't think this movie had that element to it.
Well, especially because, and as you just said, Lord of the Rings has a lot of scenes where there's no talking, but you just want like the music to match the visuals, the majesticness of it. Whereas Kevin Smith movies, there is so much dialogue. It's mostly just talking. It's almost like a book, and that sometimes that's a criticism that people have of his, is that there's so much dialogue. But you don't want like this giant swelling orchestral sound while you're also trying to listen to like important dialogue in the movie.
And most of the dialogue in the movie is important. It's not an easy movie to turn away from
No.
because you will very quickly miss something important. You'll miss a key story element because there's a lot of storytelling to this movie, maybe even more so than the other three that we
Yeah.
watched before. It is a different taste than Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy. So I wasn't quite expecting the way that this, played out.
It's
Not in it. Not
dense.
It is dense. It is very dense. Not in a bad way though.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, it's a lot to absorb on your first viewing. And honestly, it's taken me, 25 years to understand a lot of this movie that I kind of didn't get when I first saw it when I was 21 years old. So, but the cast is pretty freaking amazing. Starting out, we have Linda Fiorentino, which, Luna, I'm guessing you probably know her from Men in Black.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I recognize her from Men in Black.
Our listeners probably know her from Vision Quest, Gotcha, and After Hours. But Luna, as she plays Bethany, the last Zion, and as sort of the anchor for this film, how do you think she compared to the other main leads in Kevin Smith's other movies? Like that we see, especially the female leads.
I think Bethany's role is most similar to her name is not Amy in Chasing Amy, even
Yeah.
though what's her name again? Uh
Yeah, I'd have to.
you have to pull it up.
Yeah, I'd have
Those
to pull
two
it up.
roles seem the most similar compared to Clerks and Mallrats. The female characters in Clerks and Mallrats seem to take more of a side to the male characters. Not to say that they're not equally treated in a sleazy way, especially by Jay and some of the other male characters, Matt Damon, in Mallrats. But I think she led with the role pretty good. Um, I think she's not totally buying into this being the last Scion, saving the world from, obliteration because God got proven wrong. And then she kind of buys into it. And towards the end, like you said, this movie does have kind of some positive religious overtones, and she kind of buys into it in the end. And it's not overdone, it's not cheesy, but it's also not like so in your face like, ooh, this is so religious, I don't like this. She plays the role well, and her role grows and adapts throughout this film.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably one of the biggest, like, of the actresses that he's worked with, one of the bigger names. She's been around for a while. And in Chasing Amy, Joey Lauren Adams plays Alyssa. And of course, we all want to call her Amy because of the title of the movie, Chasing Amy. And I agree with you about Linda Fiorentino's Bethany. I think she does a great job. I mean, she has to carry. She's the emotional. I mean, because she's with Jay and Silent Bob the entire film, so she's the emotional weight of this movie. And I think she does a good job bringing emotion to a Kevin Smith film. You know what I mean? Like, his movies aren't necessary. Although Chasing Amy was probably a bit even more emotional than this.
Wyatt, I would also say, as a woman in this film, she has some backstory that I think a lot of women could relate to.
Right.
She had a lot of pregnancy issues. She had a spouse that left her because she couldn't get pregnant. And then towards the end, and she's mad at God because of it. And towards the end, God pretty much makes her the next Mary, and she
Yeah.
becomes, pregnant. I'm not saying she's a virgin, but immaculate conception, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's when she kind of comes full circle. She's like, "Oh, this was your fucking plan the whole time." She's like, who am I to question this? So there is some, I think, some emotional development that happens with this character, and there's some relatability in her experiences as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, and two characters that go through a lot of development through the course of the film, even though they've been alive for millions of years. Ben Affleck plays Bartleby, and Matt Damon plays Loki. They are these two fallen angels who are trying to get back into heaven. They're kind of, it's the MacGuffin of the film is there's this small like loophole in Catholicism that will allow them to get back into heaven as because they've been banished, and doing so will prove God is fallible, thus undoing existence. That's pretty much the entire point of the film. Now, it's of course this is like right now, 1999, like the height of like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as like friends. Like we all know them as together. Like we've seen them in Good Will Hunting and stuff like that. This is like peak them, and yes, they go on to be massive stars. They keep rising, but they don't always necessarily like rise together at the same time and in the same movie. But here we're seeing them together. What did you think of Bartleby and Loki and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and in the two roles?
I mean, they kind of have this, homo-romantic relationship that I think even Bethany picks up on when they're on the train, because she's like, "Oh, like how long have you and your boyfriend been together?" And he's like, "Oh, we're not gay." So they kind of play into this like brotherly relationship.
Well,
I mean,
even
they've been banished.
Like Jay says about Silent Bob, my heterosexual life partner. You
Yep.
know, like they have the similar. It's the similar relationship, except these are the bad guys.
You could say they're the bad guys, but which could you really blame them? I mean, wouldn't you try to do the same thing if you'd been kicked out of your home and banished to the mortal planes for all of eternity?
Well, and I think here is where the movie really shines because we all know the best villains in movies and books and everything don't know that they're villains. You know, they think everything they're doing is just, is right in some way, shape, or form, even if it's like us trying to get back home. You know, we were wrongly, kicked out. Like, they don't see themselves as the villains of this story, even up until the very last moment. I think when Bartleby is finally like, fuck it, I don't care, I'll be the villain. But up until that point, they don't think that they don't have any clue that they're the villains of this movie.
They only catch on to that when they're on that train, the scene when they're
Yeah.
on the train. And Loki is kind of like, should we really be doing this? Like, did you hear what Bethany said? Like, we could undo the. So he has this sort of crisis moment, and Ben Affleck as Bartleby is kind of like, no, we're fucking doing this. Like, you're coming with me. Like, we're walking through the arch of the church. We're gonna get back into our home. So Bartleby doesn't really give a fuck, but Loki has a moment there where he's not quite sure, but I think his relationship is so strong with Bartleby that he's kind of overcomes his own uncertainty and goes along with basically his best friend for millennia. I mean, they've been banished, I think, for what, 2 million years or something like that.
Yeah,
I
to
think they said in the movie.
Wisconsin.
To
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So they've seen a lot of shit. So it makes sense that he would go along with Bartleby, but I think he does have a moment of like, is this really the right thing to do?
Yeah, and I think like if maybe at the beginning of their journey when they're in the airport and they maybe then discovered that it would undo creation if we do this, they might not have like gone on their journey. But like at that point they've gone so far, and then the realization that God has sent this assassin, the last Zion, after him. Bartleby on the train, when he finds out who she is, when Ben Affleck, you see all that emotion go over his face, like as he's sitting there and she's talking, and he's just like, he's crushed because it's literally, he just found out that the thing that he loves the most, God, sent an assassin essentially in his mind probably to kill him. And I was kind of reminded, I was like, fuck, Ben Affleck is a good actor. Like we all now see him as like, what Jennifer Lopez's ex, and all these like memification of Ben Affleck and everything. But I'm like watching this and everything he does in this movie, and I'm just like, I forgot how good of an actor Ben Affleck is.
Well, he freaks out when he finds out she's the last Zion. I mean, like you said, you can see the emotion coursing through his body, and he breaks that beer glass and holds it up to her neck because he's assuming she's going to kill him. She hasn't even crossed that thought has not even crossed her mind at that point. She's thinking she's going to physically stop him, right? Like you can't come into the church. She hasn't even thought about, oh, I have to fucking kill him to prevent this from happening. So he's thinking ahead at this point. But I mean, Ben Affleck does a fantastic job in that moment of capturing the emotion of someone who is kind of just caught off guard. They were chatting in the train, being kind of chummy, maybe a little flirtatious. She was getting a little drunk. I think he wasn't drinking because the angels can't
Yeah.
drink alcohol if I,
Yeah.
so he's kind of having this moment with her, and then he realizes like, holy shit, like this is to come after me, and he's just been totally caught off guard. So the acting in that moment is really top tier.
Yeah. Yeah, I love their characters and everything. We'll have we'll go by pairs here. We have Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. So we got a little Dante and Randall. Now, of course, Brian O'Halloran is playing, I think his name showed up as Gil Hicks on the TV screen for a second. So I think, which is funny because Dante Hicks, and then I think we saw Gil Hicks in Mallrats, obviously the same actor, but I think there's supposed to be a relationship there. I think they're supposed to be brothers in this whole Kevin Smith universe. And then, of course, Jeff Anderson plays Randall. He's the guy working at the gun store or whatever. There's no reason to say he's not Randall, so he could be Randall, although we will see Randall come back, or we will see Jeff Anderson come back as Randall proper in Clerks 2, which Luna will get there eventually. But yeah, it was good seeing them back as little cameos. Did you actually recognize them?
I didn't. It moved so quickly that I didn't pick up on that they were returning for a little segment here in Dogma. It's nice that they're all connected in this way. There's the common string throughout these movies. Even if you don't notice it, it's very subtle.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of fun when you have directors bring back people that they work well with. And I think we've talked about this in some of the other movies, that it just makes for a really good organic chemistry on set. I think when you have these people that you've worked with before, you know what roles they're good at, and they can come back and really contribute to something that's enjoyable for the viewer.
Well, speaking of someone who's coming back, we have Jason Lee as Azrael. He's sort of like he was a muse. You find out later he's a fallen muse turned into a demon who loves central air conditioning, which is fantastic. But we saw him as Brody in Mallrats, and then we saw him in Chasing Amy as Banky, and Kevin Smith does love his like heterosexual life partner things, But so it's another character, another actor that's coming back that has worked with Kevin Smith before. What did you think of Azrael? And then what did you think of his how he's grown as an actor from Mallrats to Chasing Amy to now this?
It was great to see Jason Lee again. He's definitely still mischievous in Dogma as he's been in the other Kevin Smith movies. When I saw him on set, at first you don't see him with the horns. He's at this doorstep of this random woman, and what is he? He's trying to sell her on something. If she has central AC, right? So he's asking her questions about it. There could be like chemicals leaching into her home.
Yeah,
and that's when one of the triplets basically bashes her in the back with a hockey stick, quite brutally, because I didn't think a hockey stick could draw that much blood. But she knocks out just right there. They drag her inside, and that's kind of what kickstarts his intro into this movie. And he takes off I think he's wearing a hat, and the horns kind of pop out of his head a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of grow out. Yeah.
And that's kind of where I thought, like, maybe he's like I know he's fallen from heaven, and the whole premise was that he didn't choose a side during the great battle with Lucifer Morningstar. So when God found that out, he banished him. But I kind of had an idea that he was more like a pseudo demon than a full blown demon. I know that he does go to hell at some point. He talks about going to hell. But he's kind of playing on his own team.
Well, I mean, you find out at the end of the movie that he's the one that sent the article to Bartleby and sort of kicks off the whole thing. Literally, the movie, the plan is his plan, and the idea, and he knows the ramifications of it too. He knows the ramifications are that the entire existence will be undone, and he's like, that is better than spending all of existence in hell. So it's interesting. It's such a simple feeling. Like he's like, I would rather be dead than go back to hell. And you're like, oh, I get that. Like, I do think one of the genius parts of this film is that you have these characters like Bartleby, Loki, Azrael, these like, either angelic, but these characters that are old, millennia's old and everything, but their motivations are something that you and I can understand.
Yeah, nothing is intrinsically like evil or good. It's just people looking out for their own self-interest, which I think anybody would do in these situations. But it was really great to see Jason Lee. I think he definitely has developed as an actor through these four movies that we've reviewed together. Um he's a little bit more serious in Dogma, I would say. Not as cheesy as some of the other movies. I think it's definitely in Mallrats, he's he's a sleazebag, right? I mean, he's a total degenerate with very few redeeming qualities. And in this movie, like you said, it's more you could put yourself in his shoes in this movie and definitely feel for his situation. And I think the acting conveys that message. But he's also kind of fun. I mean, he sends off these three little triplets. I mean, they're just kind of like little mini demons to kind of wreak havoc and push things into his favor. So he's going after Bethany. He's trying to prevent her from doing her job as the last scion. And like you said, he's almost like the puppet master in this movie because he's pulling the strings. Uh, and people don't necessarily know why he's doing it until closer to the end when they're held up in that bar and he's kind of confessing to everything that he's done, including putting God in a coma. Um,
Yeah. And I love the fact that he's self-aware. He's like, look, I've seen enough Bond movies to know that I'm not going to tell you my entire plan, which was a great idea. Because I think he didn't reveal God being in a coma. I think they figured it out on their own.
Yeah, Bethany
But
figured that out towards the very end of the movie.
yeah.
She's like, "Where's the closest hospital to the boardwalk?" And like, "Oh, it's just 5 minutes walk from here." And that's when she goes, and everybody's evacuating, and then God is a man at that point is basically hooked up to a ventilator.
Yeah, played by Bud Cort. He was in Harold and Maude and stuff like that. Kind of like a kind of a big name in acting, but he had obviously a very small role here. But a big name, especially at the time, like kind of at the top of his game at the time. Chris Rock plays Rufus, the 13th Apostle. I think he's great in this, especially his interactions with Jay and Silent Bob. He's a lot of fun. And the idea that he's not even mentioned in the Bible is because he's black, but also so is Jesus, but no one knows about that. What do you think about his character?
I think it's classic Chris Rock.
Yeah.
He has kind of that personality that shines through in his filmography, and it came through in Dogma as well. I mean, from the moment that he lands on the ground naked,
Naked.
he's just like it's Chris Rock. It's classic Chris Rock.
It is. It's just Chris Rock. Like sometimes, this is where it's fine. Like it works. It works that he's Chris Rock. It doesn't take me out of the movie, but at the same time I'm just like, well, that's Chris Rock, You could have just named him 13th Apostle Chris,
But he does add some comic relief, especially with his like you said, he's like educating people on the history of the Bible and how, it was men's hand that like kind of twisted it to their own. Which I mean, hello, like obviously that's what happened with the Bible. It's written 2,000 years ago. It's been rewritten and translated. Of course it's been twisted. So it's kind of like addressing something that I think most people probably know whether they want to recognize it or not. But he puts it in such a humorous way. It's like, yeah, Jesus was black. I'm black. I'm not in the Bible because I'm black. And he just does it in such a Chris Rock way that it adds some really good comedic relief to a movie that in other ways, especially with Bethany, can have some emotional pull to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a comedy, and so you do want the laughs. Now, I didn't laugh as much in this as I do in other Kevin Smith movies. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. But I watching it now, I was like, yeah, I think Chris Rock was the right choice because a lot of the stuff that Kevin Smith is dealing with here, it could have been just a straight up drama. But Kevin Smith works better with comedy, and I think that you need someone that's just consistently awesomely funny the entire time, and Chris Rock is that person. I think the casting for Rufus is perfect.
I would totally agree because you don't really get that level of comedic relief from any of the other actors or actresses in this movie.
Even Jay and Silent Bob, which this is not the funniest that they are. Like I like them a lot more in Mallrats, but there is still a lot of comedy in Jay and Silent Bob here. Obviously as the apostles, but Chris Rock, he's the comedic anchor, I think.
I would totally agree. Yeah, I think Jay and Silent Bob, they were almost more a little bit more horny in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I think in Mallrats they're kind of goofy, dope heads. I mean, you have Silent Bob, like, I think we've talked about this, like flying through the air like Batman, crashing into
Fly,
the
fat ass, fly.
So they
Yeah,
were a little bit more subdued in this movie, a little bit more focused on banging Bethany.
yeah,
Than being
that really
funny.
that really was their focus. Although I will say a couple things that kind of like stick out with Jay for me. I love when he's freaking out when he's talking to God at the end. He's like, "What happened to that guy's head?" Like, it was great. But to this day, if I have to say the word gear, I say it like when he's driving and Bethany's like, "What gear are you in?" He's like, "Gear," and then the car breaks down. But the way that Jay says gear, like, lives rent free in my fucking head. I love him so much. Another big name, Luna, and now this one means so much more to you now. Alan Rickman as Metatron. Tell the audience what you just watched last week.
Well, okay, so I'm going to take it a step back. So
Sure.
as someone who's born in 92, Alan Rickman to me as a child was always Severus Snape. That's
Of
how I
course.
knew him. That was my first introduction to him. I think every millennial can say how much they loved his portrayal as Snape in those movies. Fuck J.K. Rowling, but the movies I think still hold a special place in a lot of millennials' hearts. And as we know, anyone who's seen Harry Potter, Snape is a very redeeming character towards the end. So just last week I was on a movie binge, watched Die Hard, which was Alan Rickman's kind of ticket into Hollywood. And it astounded me the breadth of his acting capabilities, because he has that iconic voice and he kind of can play with it pretty well. I think it's definitely a tool that he utilizes well in his acting, is playing with the way that he speaks. But holy shit, Die Hard was amazing. Definitely probably top 5 action movies I've seen. I love action movies. I love horror, but this is right there up in the top, maybe the top 3. I mean, it was just a fantastic movie. So seeing Alan Rickman in Dogma, and I knew he was in here. I knew he was in the movie, but when he came on screen as the Metatron, I just kind of freaked out. I was like, yes, Alan Rickman. I literally said it out loud, and like my partner sitting next to me, he's like, what are you fucking talking about? So
Wait, has Adrian ever seen Die Hard?
no, I don't think so.
Oh my God. Well, so, we were talking about great villains. Die Hard is another example of, I think, the reason that movie did so well and it stands the test of time and people love it the way they love it. Of course, John McClane. Of course, Bruce Willis is great, John McClane. But it's Alan Rickman is fantastic. And then the two of them, the rapport they have together is fantastic. Without Alan Rickman as the villain, as Hans Gruber, like, I don't know. There's a reality probably out there that happened. And I don't think Die Hard is as successful as it is with Alan Rickman.
I mean, he definitely ties the movie together. It's kind of almost like a yin and a yang thing. You need both Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman in that movie to make that marriage to just work so well.
It's lightning in a bottle, and I believe it was his first film role, Alan Rickman, and he was like in his 30s at that point. So it was awesome, and
which just goes to show it's never too late.
Never too late. Unless you're 48, then maybe it's a little too late.
I don't think Tolkien even wrote the Lord of the Rings until he was in his 40s and 50s, so it's literally never too late. Go for it. If you're listening, go for it. Do it.
This is true. Luna, Salma Hayek as oh boy. Salma Hayek for me growing up was everything. Desperado, she was smoking in that. From Dusk Till Dawn, unbelievably smoking in that. And then here we have her as Serendipity, the muse, fucking smoking in this. Salma Hayek, she's still smoking to today. She doesn't age. My God, holy shit. Have you never seen From Dusk Till Dawn?
I've never seen From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, I'm telling you now, move that one way up the list. It's a Quentin Tarantino written film. Robert Rodriguez directed it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's fantastic. George Clooney is in it. And if you don't know anything about it at this point, please do not look into it and just watch it cold for me. I'll add it to your list.
Add it to my list. Well, you know what? I never really researched the movies that you recommend to me before I watch them. I
Good.
just I just I just watch it. I think that's the best way because I'm the type of person that if I get any sort of spoiler or any sort of like plot knowledge before I get into something, a video game, a TV show, a movie, it really messes with the experience because I want the raw, unfiltered. I don't want to look at this through a certain lens. I just want it how the director intended me to experience the movie, the video game. It's kind of like a Hideo Kojima video game, right? Like you don't want to look into that because there's so much story
Yeah.
that goes into it. Like you just need to just let it simmer, just stew in it.
What I wouldn't give to watch From Dusk Till Dawn with you not knowing anything about it going in, because it's one of those movies where the trailers definitely spoiled it for everybody at the time. So yeah, go in fresh, and
Okay.
I'll add it to your list, but bump that one up really high up the list,
I'll do that.
especially for Salma Hayek. Holy shit, she's
And maybe
amazing.
Adrian has seen that movie because he recognized her right away.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I don't know who the fuck this is.
Well, if you tell him you're going to see it, tell him don't tell me anything about it.
Maybe I won't tell him. I'll just watch it.
We did see a small little cameo, King Mustafa Obafemi, who played Hooper X in Chasing Amy, a character you and I both adored in Chasing Amy, and he has a small role as like a gangster in the strip club with Serendipity here. But it was great seeing him, and I think he's going to pop up as Hooper in another Kevin Smith film, maybe Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, I believe. I can't remember which one. But obviously much more to do in Chasing Amy, but still enjoy seeing him here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's always nice to see a returning actor. Who did he play in Mallrats again? He was
No, in Chasing Amy.
oh, in
He was
Chasing
just
Amy.
yeah, he was just what's a Nubian?
What's a Nubian? Yes, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. So good. So good. Jay and Silent Bob as the prophets. We've kind of already talked about them. They were kind of hornier in this. They weren't as comic booky as they were in Mallrats. And then of course Chasing Amy, it's supposed to be like their real version and everything like that. Like that one's supposed to be more of a real world scenario. These are kind of caricatures, same as Mallrats, same as Clerks. But
Well, they do bring back the Snoochie Boochie a little bit, you know, when they rescue Bethany in the
right,
car scene. I
yeah,
think,
because this one's still a bit caricature-y, you know.
which is it was fun, right? Even though they're supposed to be these religious prophets, so to speak, they definitely, I mean, they don't seem like prophets, then they don't act like prophets.
Well, let me ask you this: out of all the movies we've seen so far, this is their biggest role. Like they are up there. They're with Bethany pretty much the
The whole
entire
movie.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're in it the entire film. They're not side characters in this movie. This is Mallrats was probably the closest they got to not being side characters, but they really still were side characters in that movie. But this, they're full-fledged, front and center main characters, and even more so in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they will be main characters. So how did you think they were able to hold a film or carry a film, I should say?
I think it was a little bit different than what I've experienced with Clerks, with Mallrats, with Chasing Amy. I'm used to seeing them as a side character, and I'm used to seeing them kind of be like a little bit more comic booky. And I think what it is, even like a week or two ago, I sent you a picture of an action figure of Silent Bob that I found at the local bookstore. And of
An
course,
action figure
you already have it. It's in
I
your
own
mom's
it, yep.
basement.
Yep.
So dig that out of the garage there. So it's a little bit different seeing them transition into these characters that are really through the whole film. And they still play sort of these larger than life characters. For being, for being potheads, they're quite strong, honestly. There's a lot of action scenes where they're kind of kicking ass in this movie. But it was nice. It was kind of refreshing to see them be front and center because, I mean, they've been some of my favorite side characters in these last three films that we've reviewed. So to see a little bit more of them was really nice. But they're, like you said, they're not as comic booky. They're not as comedic. They're more action hero. They're more serious. They're more horny.
Horny, yeah.
Yeah. Which not to say they weren't horny before, but Jay is definitely fixated throughout the whole movie on really just banging Bethany. Even at the very end, when they think the world is going to end, and he starts pulling his trousers down. He had said that if the world was going to end, she would fuck him. And then she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, well, like, we've got maybe like 10 minutes left. Like, let's get to it. And she's like, she's just not having it. So there is some comedic relief. But I enjoyed their presence.
Yeah. Gear.
But I think he even says, like, how am I supposed to know how to drive?
Yeah, I don't know how to drive. Exactly. We get a couple little cameos, not cameos, bigger than cameos, but smaller roles. We got George Carlin as Cardinal Glick, and of course he played Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. A lot of people know that, or probably his main, movie role that everyone knows him from. Of course, he's a big time stand-up comic. Very like counterculture sort of stand-up comic, well known, for kind of being very anti-government and stuff like that.
And that's where I know him from is his stand-up. I've seen a lot of his stand-up clips on social media. And honestly, I want to say if I had to pick a favorite character in Dogma, I would say it was Cardinal Glick.
He's great. I mean, he's great as this character.
He's great as this character. And it's just kind of funny because they're in Jersey and he reminds me of what I would expect some like sleazebag Catholic cardinal to be like, we're going to make Catholicism hip again and we're going to bring it back into the mainstream. What was this whole like thing, like what was it called? They had the
Catholicism wow.
Yeah, it's like so cheesy. And everybody knows, even if you haven't seen this movie, you've seen the picture of Buddy Jesus or Buddy Christ.
The Buddy Christ,
Everyone's
I mean,
Buddy
they still
Christ.
statues of that. You can buy statues of that. I think it's hilarious.
So Cardinal Glick by George Carlin, definitely I think my favorite acting in this whole movie. I don't know why. It just really satisfied something in my soul.
Well, it's funny because his stand-up, even though he was like big in the 70s and the 80s and stuff, the clips make their way around Instagram and stuff, social media now, because it's still so fucking relevant. Even though he's been dead for years, he's still relevant, and that's also kind of scary. Janine Garofalo has a small role. Do you know who she is?
I don't.
Okay, she was Bethany's friend who's kind of smoking a cigarette in the break room talking to her.
Mm-hmm. That was at the Planned Parenthood, right?
Planned Parenthood, yeah. She's a stand-up comedian. She was huge in the 90s, starting with the movie Reality Bites with her and Winona Ryder and everybody. It was like such a quintessential 90s movie. It was basically... That movie was to the 90s what like The Breakfast Club was to the 80s, and she was in it. And for me, she's just always this like quintessential 90s, character, actor, comedian, and everything. And then finally, we have Alanis Morissette as God. How awesome is that? Again, Alanis Morissette, so quintessential 90s as well, that it's perfect that this movie comes out in 1999, because I feel like it really encompasses and wraps up everything that I love and remember about the 90s Kevin Smith films. He'll obviously go on and make more movies into the 2000s, and for me they kind of go down a little bit. For me, this is kind of like not peak Kevin Smith, but like there's still much more to come that I want to watch with you and review with you and everything. But for me, it's like this kind of caps off everything that I loved about the 90s, with the actors that I loved, music that I loved, and Kevin Smith kind of at the top of his game for me.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm catching up on all this, right? Like I was an infant through the 90s.
Yeah.
Through the 2000s, I would say, probably 2000 to 2007. I don't know if I had consciousness yet, and I was very sheltered. So I'm catching up on all the shit that I missed out on, and it's been phenomenal to go on this journey and learn about all of these people who were really, shaken and bacon when I was just a tyke. So,
well, before we get into the general discussion, let's roll a trailer for Dogma. How about that?
That's why I had to come down here this morning, man. That's why I had to miss my cartoons. You call me, you tell me it's important.
We're going home.
Take it, man, and quit leering at me. People are gonna think I just broke up with you.
Two fallen angels have just discovered a loophole that can get them back into heaven.
Outstanding work!
All they have to do is get to Red Bank, New Jersey. There's only one problem.
want with me?
Stop a couple of angels from entering and thus negating all existence. I hate it when people need it spelled out for them.
Now,
I'm to charge you with a holy crusade.
one person has been chosen to stop them, but she won't have to do it alone.
I'm Jay. This is my head of life mate, Silent Bob.
You gotta be kidding me.
Prophets, in a manner of speaking.
What about sex?
No sex.
Guys, I guess just don't follow the sky, you know? Oh, that sucks!
What are you?
I was the 13th apostle.
You knew Christ.
No, brother owes me $12. I thought she looked familiar.
Let me guess. The 14th apostle.
I'd like 2 tickets to New Jersey, please.
Jersey's sold out, sir. I suggest you not underestimate the staggering drawing power of the Garden State.
They're successful. You, me, all of this ends in a heartbeat. I feel like Han Solo, you're Chewie, and she's Ben Kenobi.
Prepare to taste God's wrath. Anyone who isn't dead or from another plane of existence would do well to cover their ears right about now.
The whole world's against us, dude. I swear to God.
What's he like?
God, it's got a great sense of humor. Take sex, for example.
Sex is a joke in heaven.
The way I understand it, it's mostly a joke down here, too.
Get it?
All right, Luna, Catholicism, wow, Buddy Christ, all of it. Give us your thoughts on when you finished watching the movie. What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, it was cathartic. It was, some sort of religious redemption for me growing up in a sheltered, Christian home. I mean, I think I was too young when this movie came out for my parents to talk to me about it. But I think that if I had been a bit older, they would have given this the treatment that they gave the Da Vinci Code. Because when the Da Vinci Code came out, holy shit, was that a hot topic in the little town that I grew up in.
Oh boy.
All of the religious parents were freaking out, burning books. There was even a time I was at like a play date with my friends and all the parents were having dinner. And the topic of the Da Vinci Code came up. And it pissed my parents off so much that they left the party. And my friend's mom had to drive me home later that night. So I think this would have gotten the Da Vinci Code treatment if I had been a bit older. But I think like you said, this speaks to a lot of segments about. I mean, it's a religious commentary in a lot of ways. It's not just a comedy; it's a religious commentary, and I really appreciate stuff like that, and that's why I've been looking forward to watching this movie for these past 9-12 months since you mentioned it, because I like that shit. I like that shit. I like stuff that pokes holes in the things that people are so strung up about all the time. And they even point at this in the movie about having a belief versus what an idea. And they talk about how. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, let me call that out really quick, and I'll let you get back to it. But Rufus says, he's talking to Bethany on the train, and he's talking about Jesus and everything. And he goes, he still digs humanity, but it bothers him to see the shit that gets carried on out in his name. Wars, bigotry, televangelism, but especially the factioning of all the religions. He said humanity took a good idea and, like always, built a belief structure on it. And then Bethany says, having beliefs isn't good. And then here's the important part. Rufus says, I think it's better to have ideas. You can change an idea. Changing a belief is trickier. And Luna, in the world that we're living in right now, and so many people who are just so wrapped up in this far right movement and evangelical Catholicism and everything, the MAGA movement, everything is so proving to me that beliefs, changing your belief is so much harder than changing an idea.
Well, people get entrenched in beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why science to me has always been so sexy, because science is about having an idea and testing it, having a hypothesis. But if you really dig down into it, you can never really prove anything. We just have an idea. We have evidence. maybe have a shit ton of evidence that like you really want to say like, well, this is turning from an idea to a fact. But I like that idea that things are malleable, that you can change your ideas, you can change your perspectives. God knows I've changed my perspective on a lot of stuff as I've aged.
Yeah,
So
me
have my
too.
parents, and I think that's what makes for a healthier society is when people talk about having these conversations and listening to one another. But it's hard to listen when you're not coming from a place where you're willing to have your ideas changed. And I think that's where a lot of the pain resides is the MAGA movement is entrenched in belief. And so that's one reason why I really appreciated the commentary in this movie because it just pokes a hole right through it. It just directly through the heart. And it does it so in a way that is not heavy.
And it weirdly does it in a loving way because it never comes out and says like, fuck God and you need to be an atheist. The funny thing is the movie doesn't actually put atheism forward like as a lot of times you see in like anti-religious movies and stuff like that. It's actually I think a very compassionate and open-minded film. It's just like you said, poking holes in these dogmatic ideas, hence the name Dogma. And I think that's a perfect name for it as well. Did it live up to the hype that you had over this year building up to this?
I would say it lived up to the hype, and I know that we're going to rank the movies later, so I won't get into that, but I will say it lived up to the hype. I'm not going to put it as my number one Kevin Smith movie. But I enjoyed it, and my basis for enjoying a movie, I think there's one the box like was I entertained? Check, but also I think on an intellectual level, I agreed with a lot of the things in this movie. Because I think these are kind of the ways that I've felt about a lot of things for a long time. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to have those conversations without being accusatory. And like you said, this movie is not a fuck you, fuck religion, fuck God. It comments on these things in a way that if you were religious and you were to get through this movie without being pissed off first, I think maybe you might learn something.
Yeah. So I'm guessing your parents never would watch it. Like they would condemn it, but they would never actually watch it.
That might be a tough sell.
Yeah. Especially with the shit demon in it and everything.
Oh my God, don't even bring that. I totally forgot about the shit demon.
Golgothan.
I tried to block that out. That was so fucking gross. Oh my God, no, the shit demon. But also, I think if I had to pinpoint a single point in this movie that would throw my parents off, it's talking about boobs and bushes. My mom would close her ears and go la 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 la. She would not want to hear that stuff because she is so prude about sex.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't fly in her household.
I can imagine. Now I did want to ask you, what did you think? Because I don't think it's actually out there. I don't think Kevin Smith has really said. What did you think was the reasoning behind the naming convention? Because Loki, is in this movie, he's basically the angel of death, but in the Bible, that's actually Azrael, which is Jason Lee's character. But then Loki's much more sort of like the Norse mythology version of Loki. You have to imagine Kevin Smith knew that Azrael in the Bible was the angel of death and everything. Like, there's a reason he names Matt Damon Loki, but still calls him the angel of death. And he's a reason, like, what do you think that the reason behind that is? What did you take that as?
So for me, I think Azrael's role is if he were to succeed in his venture, then everybody would have died. Everything would cease to exist.
The angel of death.
So I think he's in more in that way, kind of like the harbinger, he brings about the end of times. Whereas Loki, he just more passes judgment on people who don't live up to God's tenets. So that's where my idea came from the naming convention. Because he's definitely powerful. He has a little chest shield when he rips off his shirt later on.
Yeah, but he's not like Loki that you think from Norse mythology and everything. Although he does have a bit of a sort of a mischievous side to him and everything.
Oh yeah, well I mean he like shoots up the whole boardroom for like the golden cow.
Yeah.
and even in doing so, he's delaying their goal, which is to get to Jersey to attend the church, to cross through the arches, to be forgiven. So he gets caught up in his own little desires that do delay and maybe even impede the ultimate goal.
Yeah. And my sort of take too is, since a lot of the movie, Kevin Smith talks about the fact that there is no one right religion and everything, and how they've all been sort of fractured and everything. I think I kind of took it also too, like him naming him Loki was also bringing in like some religions might have got the name right but got the person wrong. Another religion got the angel right but the name wrong, and it's kind of like to mix things up. It doesn't land it all completely in Catholicism. Obviously, they do mention about the war in heaven, and they call Lucifer the morning star. So like there are, I do still think he's making a Catholic based film, or like, a Bible based, like, I know you were Baptist and everything, but that's still, it uses the Bible, right?
It does,
like, yeah. I mean, you and I, it's all based on sort of the similar branching of the same religion. We're not talking Buddhism versus Catholicism or something. It's still the same branches. So I think he's still putting everything in that sort of box, but I think he is alluding to the fact that other religions might have gotten some things right. Again, like the name of the Norse mythology, god of mischief being Loki. Maybe they were right about that. You know what I mean? Maybe they got the name right, but not the character in theory.
Well, I think he kind of had to, right? Because if you were to make a strictly Bible-based
like one-to-one, everything is a one-to-one,
then there would be no burning fiery pits of hell. There would be no demons, because a lot of what we perceive as the Judeo-Christian belief system comes from Dante Alighieri's Inferno. These ideas of these pits of hell that people get tortured in, and there's demons with horns. Those are all creations that came after the Bible. Even the angels were not human figures, but they were these multi-winged, multi-eyeballed, kind of like, you'd be terrified if you saw one. So I think he had to incorporate these elements of other mythologies, of other religious beliefs. Because like you said, they do allude to, just have an idea. You don't have to believe in Jesus Christ. You just have to have an idea of God and morality. So I think he had to blend in a little bit of the elements of other mythologies. Otherwise, the whole thing would fall apart, right?
Yeah.
You could still make a movie about it, but what he was trying to do, poking holes, would fall apart if he's not even sticking to the doctrine. So
yeah. And I don't know if it's because I grew up Roman Catholic and everything. I mean, I've been confirmed, my first communion and all that kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. But I've always had a fascination and a soft spot for angels in movies. I like in the movie Constantine, you see angels in that. Movie The Prophecy with Christopher Walken. Even when I was younger, I thought they were just fascinating. And this movie I thought was awesome, especially when he, Bartleby tears off his, shirt, revealing the armor underneath, and he has the giant wings and everything. And Loki's all like a little bit like, I don't really know if we want to do this. And he yells at him, like it's such a cool scene to me. And I think actually music-wise, the music swelling in that scene does stand out to me. But for me, like one of the draws of this movie is I just have this weird fascination with, angels that are more like warrior angels, like how they're sort of portrayed in here.
Oh yeah, well I mean they all fought a war and they had to participate or else they'd be cast down.
Yeah,
right.
Like
and that kind of I don't know if you've ever played the game Diablo. I mean they've made like 4 or 5 of them though. Yeah. And even in that, the angels and they're not these passive, little babies playing on harps. They're warriors. They've got swords and staves and shields, and they also can be killed in Diablo by the demon. So they're not, immortal. They're just a different type of being. So
I also don't have genitalia in that one too.
That's up for debate. I need to do more investigation. But when Alan Rickman's character just totally like
gross.
Strips, that was just
that
a
was
Ken
pretty
doll.
horrible.
He's trying to prove a point, and he just made it worse.
I know. But what did you think of the massacre? Like that's the climax scene. Like what did you think about all that? Like just Bartleby just going ham and just like dropping people out of the sky and like all those just destroyed bodies and everything.
I mean, it was pretty wicked, like you see some violence in this movie, but that was just un you know uncalled for, if you want to say. I don't know what the right word is. Unorganized, just totally going shredding the whole audience. And they don't ever show what happens to Cardinal Glick. He just kind of disappears. I don't know if I remember seeing his body in the field of victims there.
I think when they first get there and a body falls out of the air and its head explodes, I think that's when Loki says, "Oh, that's a cardinal. You can tell by the rosaries." I think that was supposed to be Cardinal Glick.
Cardinal Glick.
I
Okay.
believe so.
Now that you say that, I do remember when he made that comment about the rosary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't connect it when I saw the movie, but that makes sense now.
And apparently, Alanis Morissette is God, like basically blinking everyone. I guess I assumed everyone went back to life and everything, but she cleaned up that whole place. Apparently, it's because the church, like, they had been filming there for a few days and everything. And Kevin Smith, like, the church kind of was like, "Hey, when you guys gonna be done? Can you guys kind of maybe not have all the bloody dead bodies like laying out there multiple days?" And so Kevin Smith, I think he was like, "Oh, they're kind of been cool. Like, let's just, get rid of this." I think that's how he put it into the movie, where she just, made
it worked out pretty well then. And it was
Yeah.
my understanding that she did revive all of the
That's what I
victims,
believe,
just like she
yeah.
revived Bethany.
Yeah, that's what I believe as well. Yeah, I mean, like, that scene is crazy. And that's also, like, I think probably so far Kevin Smith's closest we get to, like, action scene. He's him doing action and everything. I do like the 90s CGI, like the Golgotha shit demon coming out of the pool of shit was so 90s CGI. And then, Ben Affleck, when he's coming down, the wings are CGI, but when he's standing there, you can tell, like, the way he stands and how he has to, even Alan Rickman, like, those wings were heavy, and they're like animatronic and they look fantastic.
Well, even when Jay is like shooting the wings off of Bartleby, I mean, it's not CGI. There's fake blood, and
yeah,
they did a really good job making it look pretty real, pretty damn realistic.
And another moment of acting that that really stood out for me with Ben Affleck, when he gets his wing shot off and he's touching the blood and looking at it, he does like this laugh, then cry, then laugh, because, he knows his old past is dead and it's not all joyous. He's also mourning it and everything. And I swear to God, I was reminded in this movie, in this viewing, of like how good fucking Ben Affleck is.
I mean, that moment, he even tastes the blood for a second, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He does show a pretty good range of emotion in this film. I think more so than any of the other actors. I think he stands out.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously our anchor in Chasing Amy, and I know he's good friends with Kevin Smith and whatnot. Yeah, Matt Damon he does his job fine, but for me, I think Ben Affleck really outshines him. Now, maybe, Ben Affleck had more substance to chew on as an actor in this, but I think he definitely outshines Matt Damon in this movie.
Well, Matt Damon's character is almost the sidekick to Bartleby.
Yeah.
That was my understanding. They don't seem like they're on equal footing. And remind me, so Loki was supposed to be the angel of death.
Yeah.
Bartleby was
like a seraphim or something.
Seraphim, that's right. One of the highest levels of angels.
Yeah.
So they have that kind of hierarchy kind of built into their relationship already.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Matt Damon's character doesn't stand out as much to me. He has some moments, but Ben Affleck's character it was written into the film to have more of a range, I think, than Loki's character.
And I also like that scene when Bethany's breaking down in the woods and the Metatron is walking on the water. Like, I thought that was a really cool moment. And
I was thinking about when they did that, like, I wonder how they got him to walk on the water, if they put like some little planks underneath the water for him to step on. But they made it look really good. I was thinking about it when I was watching it.
And I kind of like really enjoyed, like, Alan Rickman brought so much heart to that character. Like, I love that scene when he's like, I get it. Like, he was like, I was the one that had to tell Jesus when he was like 12 years old all the shit that he was going to have to deal with. And he was like, that wasn't fucking fair. And it's also, you know, the fact that like he can't hear this from his father, you know, God, because it would destroy his fragile human body. So like he has to hear it from me. There was like, you know, there was this heart to Alan Rickman's, you know, the portrayal of Metatron that I just was like, it all works for me.
Yeah, it added to the movie, I would say. It added to the movie. Nothing was taken away by any of these characters' involvements. And the Metatron, I think in classic Alan Rickman fashion, he made this character seem grown up and mature and methodical. And it's relatable. I mean, who the fuck wants to deliver that kind of news to a 12-year-old?
Right. But he has to. It's like it's his only job, you know? What the fuck happened to that guy's head? What a scene, getting your head exploded by God, and then your head explodes, then your heart explodes. Like, holy shit.
Just gone. One of my favorite scenes was because Silent Bob obviously is mostly silent, and I think he breaks his silence maybe twice or three times in this movie. And one of my favorite scenes was when he throws I don't remember if it was Loki or Bartleby off the train.
Both of them, essentially.
And there's the one passenger staring at him just like terrified. I think the guy had fallen asleep in the corner and wakes up and sees this happening. And he goes, "No ticket." And just
and you know what that's a reference to, right?
No. Was there a reference there?
Yeah, it's he's literally doing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indy like goes on a blimp, and it's a passenger blimp, and a bunch of people are on it, and he sees this Nazi guy, and he basically beats him up and throws him out of the blimp, and everyone's looking at him, and he just looks around, and he goes, "No ticket," and just like, but he doesn't, in typical Harrison Ford, fashion. But that's it was a complete reference to that, even the way that like Silent Bob's kind of pauses for a second before he says it and everything.
Well, that makes sense because they do like to reference their pop culture. I mean, they have their Star Wars reference. Yep.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I haven't seen all these movies, or I don't remember half of them. So it's nice to have your expertise to point out these fun little Easter eggs.
I mean, before we get into our ranking, real quick, I don't recall. Did you say what Adrian thought of it?
I mean, we didn't have a discussion after the movie. Like I said, I crashed as soon as this movie was over. But he was laughing throughout the movie, and I don't always hear him laugh in a movie.
Okay,
so I think
he was engaged.
That's high praise coming from Adrian. And he was engaged. I mean, I think our generation can be guilty of the Netflix and chill, where you get distracted watching something. And I've even heard that Netflix they have a scaffolding to a lot of their self-created content to Netflixify it, because they know that their viewers aren't going to be paying attention throughout the whole movie or TV show. So they have to repeat things a lot because people will miss it otherwise. So there was no distraction during this movie. It was engaged from start to finish. Cause I'm not gonna pretend I'm guilty of that sometimes too. You put on something, you get on your phone. So I always think it's good when you can, in this day and age, you can keep your attention for 2 hours. Because this has about a 2-hour runtime.
It's like actually 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it's a little bit longer than some of the other ones that we've delved into. And even sometimes I will look at the length of a film before I watch it. And if it's an hour and a half, I usually will turn it on right away. And if it hits about that 2-hour mark, I'm like, I gotta find time to commit to this.
Oh, Luna, when one of these days when I'll have you on and we can talk about like Forbidden World and stuff like that, like these old 80s Roger Corman films, and they're like 65 minutes or like 70 minutes. Oh, it's wonderful. It's so awesome. I mean, Zach and I do talk a lot of times. 2 hour, it's about pacing. The reason an hour and a half is so awesome is because the pacing is so good. A lot of times we'll watch a movie we both enjoy, and it's like an hour and 45 minutes, and we're like, yep, could have cut 15 minutes of it. Like, seriously. This, I truly don't know what I would have wanted to cut. I think it was as long as it needed to be, and I was also engaged the entire time that I was watching it, and so I don't know if they can really cut much from this, although I don't know if I would really add anything else either.
I think it was perfect. It was short and sweet enough. I can't think of a single thing that you could cut that would just take away. If you cut anything from this 2 hours, it was take away. But they didn't really need to add anything either. Like you said,
you said it early on. It's like there is so much happening in this movie that like I don't know what scene is unimportant, because everything is important. Everything is, it's either, if it's not pushing the plot forward, it's commentary on religion. So like both things are necessary, because this movie is it's a movie. It needs to be a movie. It needs to have its 3-act structure and all that kind of stuff, point A to point B, but it's also Kevin Smith's mouthpiece. It's also his commentary on organized religion, and that's also the point of this film's existence.
Well, I mean, it came out at such a pivotal time, too. I mean, the late 90s, early 2000s, we're talking about the end of the Clinton administration, the beginning of the debacle between Bush and Al Gore. I mean, that was such a moment. And I think it's a moment that a lot of millennials and maybe people in your generation think about, because the 90s were such a time. I mean, I think people think back, you think back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And yeah, I know the 2000s were only 20 years ago, but I don't think that it holds that same weight. So this movie came out at a time where we were, we're talking about United States here, kind of at a pivot point. And I think people miss what we left behind before Bush and the terrorist attacks kind of reshaped everything for society. So this came out at just that right time, to kind of poke at some of the things that need to be poked at. I mean, I don't think anyone is served well by living in a bubble and not questioning their worldview. I grew up in a bubble, and it was almost sacrilege to question the worldview of the people around you, and that's not healthy. I mean, that's why you got to get out. You've got to experience other people, other cultures, other religions. And this movie made me think back. I had a really great friend. I still keep in touch with her briefly, but her dad was actually a Mormon missionary. Okay. And he was sent to Japan, to convert people. And he ran into a really curious thing that is always stuck with me, is that when he would try to discuss Mormonism or LDS church with people, their response would be, there's more than one way to the top of Mount Fuji. And I've always kept that very close to my heart, because, well, fuck yeah. Like, there's always more than one way. There's no, like this movie, there's no right, denomination, right religion. Just don't get stuck in your belief system.
And your dogmatic belief system.
Dogmatic ways, absolutely.
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday, where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV, and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a Surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.
And now, back to the show. Perfect. Well, I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. I don't really have anything else from my notes that I want to talk about. Honestly, this is a movie, though, that there's a million things to talk about. We could literally talk for 3 hours and go scene by scene, because I would have commentary on everything. But I do think that this movie's also a personal experience. Like, I think that it's going to affect each person, differently. Unlike some like Die Hard. You watch Die Hard, and a lot of people are going to have the same experience. Like, it's like, oh, wow, the explosions are awesome. The shooting's awesome. This one is a personal movie. I think you should go out and watch it on your own, and you experience it on your own, and you're going to have your own thoughts, and it's going to be different than ours, but they're going to be yours, because they're all going to be based on what you grew up with and how you experience the world and your viewpoints of religion and everything like that. So, which is why I think it's important that this movie got released finally on Blu-ray and 4K and everything like that. And thank God it did. And it's nice the 4K actually has this like a little, I don't know, like 4-minute, intro by Kevin Smith talking about the importance of physical media and everything. And this is basically us as fans wished this into existence and everything, and basically just thanking us for being fans and again pushing forward the importance of physical media. So I think this is a great time to revisit Dogma. But like you, Luna, it's not my favorite Kevin Smith film. So what's your order? So far, we've reviewed in order that they came out: Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma. And next will be Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That'll be the next film in order. Although I really want to do a TV Obscura with you, Diallo, and Zach, where we talk about the Clerks cartoon, which I fucking loved. I would actually like to do that before Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, because I do believe it came out before that as well. But so far, up to Dogma. How do you rank them? Go from 1 to 4. Start at your favorite to the fourth one.
Clerks, my favorite. I gotta put it out there. That was the first one we reviewed. I watched it when I was still working retail as a manager. It just stuck with me. I also love the black and white. I was just really able to engage with that movie, relate to the characters. I think it was also my first Kevin Smith movie, my first time seeing Jay and Silent Bob, so there was a little bit of a novelty to it, and it was just kind of it's a little edgy, it's exciting, so definitely Clerks number 1, and I would say probably Chasing Amy number 2, and I say that because, like we talked about in our review, I appreciated Kevin Smith being open enough to allow people to explore sexuality, especially in a time when so many people were putting up walls. I mean, we're talking about the HIV/AIDS epidemic. I think a lot of people felt that acceptance of LGBT rights was sliding backwards in the 90s because, we'd had an administration that basically didn't acknowledge the HIV epidemic. And then Clinton comes in and we're seeing, Don't Ask, Don't Tell and Defense of Marriage Act passed. So I think a lot of people were receding from their support. And I think Chasing Amy came out at a time when people needed to see a different perspective on sexuality. And we talked about this. It is a movie, written and directed by a white man. So there is an element to that. But also for the time that it came out, I think it does a pretty damn good job, and I think it holds up. I think number 3, and you can push me here. I might tie Mallrats and Dogma. I like them for different.
Gotta pick one.
I gotta pick one. Oh man, fuck you. I'll pick Dogma number 3. I'll pick Dogma number 3. I think I've had a lot of anticipation to watch this movie, to review it with you. Like I said, it felt like some sort of religious reconciliation, or there's an element to that I can relate to because of my upbringing. Because of my political, spiritual beliefs, it just seems to fit. And it's kind of like, yes, I fucking told you so. Like, watching this movie just kind of checked a lot of boxes for me. It is very different than the other 3 movies that we've watched, and I think that was an adjustment for me. I've gotten used to a certain cadence with Kevin Smith movies, and this is definitely, like we said, it's very dense. It's a lot of dialogue. But I think you can't ignore the commentary, the social commentary that Dogma provides.
And also as dense and how much dialogue and everything it is, there's a sense that it's coming from a very personal place from Kevin Smith.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I think a lot of people, if you haven't seen this, could appreciate that. Because like you said, everyone who sees this is going to have their own interpretation, their own experience. And it might not be a shared experience. Maybe you experience this movie very differently than someone else does. And I think that's okay. But I think because I could relate to it, that's why I appreciated it. And then I'm going to put Mallrats at number 4. I just don't think that Mallrats... I don't think it carried over as well in 2026. I think it's... I hate to say this. We see so much shit in the news about pedos and pedo this, and there's a little pedo element to Mallrats. I mean, we have the old security guard sleeping with the teenager and filming porn, and I just think I think if you were to show this to a Gen Z, they would say this is in their terms that would be cringe content. So I think it hasn't. I don't think it's what am I trying to say here?
It doesn't hold up as well.
It doesn't hold up. Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. Even though it is my number one favorite, I think that's again, talk about personal. It hit me at the right time. It's for me, it's all nostalgia. I'm laughing at jokes that I laughed at back when I was a kid, back when I was a different person, and maybe maybe Mallrats reminds me of that younger time when I was a completely different person. I make no bones about it. You and I probably wouldn't have been friends, back then. I was so much more of a jerk. But not that I want that part of me to come back, but that movie allows me to revisit that part of me without bringing that part of me back to my personality now. And it hit me at the right time and everything. Clerks number 2, especially because I worked at a video store and everything like that. I was Randall. Again, I was Randall. In Randall, I look Randall now and I'm like, oh, what a piece of shit, but I was Randall back then. And again, it allows me to re-experience who I was then without reverting back to who I was then. But going into this, Luna, I was totally going on the assumption that Dogma would have been my number 3 favorite, because I already knew Mallrats and Clerks, but I hadn't seen Dogma in a long time, and I hadn't seen Chasing Amy in a long time. I thought Chasing Amy was going to be my 4th. Dogma would have been my 3rd. When we reviewed Chasing Amy, when I revisited Chasing Amy for our review, I fell in love with that movie all over again. I like what it's doing. I think Kevin Smith did a very competent job in that film, and it was a lot funnier than I remembered it being and everything. And I was just like, oh, I forgot how much I loved Chasing Amy, and that's my number 3. I think Dogma is there's a special place in my heart for Dogma. There's a special place on my, movie shelf for Dogma. I'm glad that it's here. And by being number 4 in no way means I don't like it. It's just, as rankings go, it's so far, it's the 4th one. I did notice that I wasn't laughing as much in Dogma. I did chuckle a few times. Again, gear, like stupid J stuff, but I wasn't laughing at a lot of other things. And I think there was a lot more laughs to be had. Again, what's a Nubian, like in Chasing Amy? There was, I kind of adore Chasing Amy. And and even so, the fact that like I said, I fell in love with Chasing Amy. I had forgotten how much I love that movie. Whereas Dogma, it kind of it hit me the same as it hit me in 1999. I really enjoy this movie. I really, really do. It hit me the same. Whereas Chasing Amy, I was like, oh no, I used to love this movie then, and oh my God, I still love it now.
I can totally see that. I mean, like you said, watching these 4 movies is such a personal experience, depending on when you were born, what your experience is. In Dogma it's a different it's a different type of movie than the other films.
It's a different beast.
It's a different beast, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're here. I mean, this was the pinnacle. This was the finish line. This is where we're getting to, but I would like to keep moving forward with our Kevin Smith experience together.
You sign me up.
Okay. All right. So guys and gals, at this point, I'm not going to make any promises like, oh, it'll come out next month. When our schedules align, like I said, I would like for us to cover the Clerks cartoon on TV Obscura. And then you and I go back to Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back, and then kind of just keep moving forward down the line for better or worse. And there's going to be movies, Luna, that I've never seen before. So there's going to be movies in Kevin Smith's catalog that will be new for both of us, and I won't watch them, until we get to that point, and it'll be a completely new conversation for both of us.
I love that. Well, I think, what was the movie that I discovered the other day that you had never seen before?
Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer. Yeah. Zach always talks about that movie being the best Punisher movie where the Punisher's not in it, or it's not about the Punisher.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Well, I'm excited to explore a movie that you haven't seen before, because in my worldview, Corey has seen every movie. since
yeah,
the
guys
beginning
and
of
gals,
time.
we have a shared note, an iPad shared note where I just add movies to it, and Luna checks them off when she sees them. And I try to give you like little things of like why I think you're gonna like this one or whatnot. And but yeah, you did Wanted Dead or Alive on your own. You also did Split Second on your own, which is a movie that everybody out there knows that I love because we reviewed it years ago. Zach and I reviewed it years ago. But it's definitely a Corey movie, and when I say that, I mean that like I'm aware that not everyone else is gonna like it. So I kind of usually don't recommend those kind of movies to other people, but you discovered it on your own. What did you think of Split Second?
Split Second was fantastic. I think we talked about this in our text messages a little bit, that the creature has sort of like a venom.
Yeah.
And I kind of guessed that. I didn't do any research, and that's actually what the creator had hoped for this to be, sort of like a venom analog.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, it kind of looks like Alien or the xenomorph from Alien. But it also has a level of intelligence because it's writing notes for the main character in blood.
Like a demon.
It's like a demon. So it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was maybe that came out in the late 80s, I think.
No, it was 90s.
Was it 90s? Okay.
Yeah. And Rutger Hauer was in it, and because you've seen Blade Runner, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Seen
So
Blade Runner.
Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner and everything. So
wow. I was just fun to dig into something a little different. I usually go off your list, but
knowing that you like, well, the funny thing is that wasn't even on the list, and you still wound up watching it, which opens doors for me now to add very specific movies to that list as well.
Well, I think another reason why I liked it is it reminds me of the type of movie that I would watch with my dad growing up. We had always watched movies together. It's kind of a tradition that we have when we spend time together, is see a movie, whether it's at home or going out to the theater. And it just reminded me of sort of like the action-packed, like guns blazing, guy gets the girl kind of film. So it was a little I haven't seen it before, but it felt nostalgic watching it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you loved it. I'm glad you enjoyed Dogma. I am also glad that Chasing Amy is so high on your list as well. That makes me feel good. And I do get what you said about Mallrats, and I think we addressed it even
we did
in our review. It's like I totally get it. Yeah, it also, I do agree with you. Now watching all of these, I think Mallrats holds up as a new view in 2026, as someone watching it for the first time in 2026, it doesn't hold up as well. I think Dogma holds up as well as I thought it was going to. Like, it holds up just fine. Chasing Amy's what I was really surprised at how well that holds up.
I mean, I think it's perfect. It's relevant. I think, I always like these sort of coming of age LGBT films. That's a whole other category.
Yeah.
And I think it if it's not in there, it should be. For a couple different reasons. But I think, like you said, Dogma, for the political climate that we're in now, it's just relevant. I think, unfortunately so, it's relevant.
Yeah, some people might need to watch it. But hopefully this will reach some of those ears. But, the algorithm, probably not, unfortunately. Luna, thank you again, and hope everyone enjoys this full proper episode. It's awesome to have you on, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have you on TV Obscura, and you can hang out with Diallo and Zach, and we can talk the Clerks cartoons. But until then, guys and gals, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can leave us a review. But if you want to engage with us, leave a comment on Spotify. That actually really helps the algorithm as well. Everything's fucking algorithms. But I obviously do see all the, any comments and stuff like that. If you have something for Luna, leave it there. I'll obviously pass it along as well. You can also comment on our Patreon page and everything on our social medias. Instagram is where we mainly are. But yeah, let us know what your ranking of Kevin Smith movies are. Let us know where Dogma falls in your ranking. And yeah, love it. Love doing it. I'm glad we're here, but I'm also, Luna, excited to move forward.
It's always a pleasure joining you, Corey, on Podcasting After Dark. It's been a real privilege to be able to participate in I love seeing the comments that your listeners leave us. It seems like we're on a roll with some of these movies. We've gotten some good feedback, and I really hope to hear what people really think. Like Corey said, leave us a comment. Like, engage with this content. Let us know what you think about it. Rank the movies, positive or critical.
And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.